In October of 1996, gamers were introduced to one of the first 3D adventures that would shape up to become an iconic franchise called Tomb Raider. With the franchise also came the birth of one of the most iconic gaming characters known as Lara Croft. Over the years, the franchise has seen many forms of media like movies, comics, action figures, statues, and of course, various games. While the series was more known on the PlayStation consoles, there was one installment that did release on the GameCube, which was Tomb Raider Legend. With Crystal Dynamics now at the helm of the series, they brought this game to every platform imaginable, looking to finally bring fluid controls to the acrobatic, nimble Lara Croft. So, is Tomb Raider Legend a tomb worth raiding, or is it best left as a relic of the past? Let's find out. Tomb Raider Legend's story starts off with us seeing Lara Croft as a child flying on a plane with her mother in a wicked storm. A certain event occurs that leads to a crash landing and fades away to present day, where we find Lara venturing for stone die fragments that may be related to the disappearance of Lara's mother. Lara will venture through a variety of locales around the world, trying to find these stone dies, while also coming across certain characters that will do their best to beat her to them. Lara is not alone, however, as her companions Zip and Alistair will be in constant communication with Lara throughout the levels. I don't want to spoil too much about the story if you haven't played it yet, but Tomb Raider Legend's story is among my favorite in the franchise, with superb writing and excellent voiceover work that really brings all the characters to life. It's a story that will hook you right away and doesn't let up until the moment the credits start rolling. Also, while it's worth noting it's a reboot from the original franchise, this is Lara Croft at her prime. After the newer trilogy that just released, which really dialed back Lara's cool factor for an initially more frail and fragile Lara, what we have here is a Lara that's just being badass. She's calm, cool, and collective, and clearly dresses for the occasion to be ready for any combat scenario. The story here lets it just be a fun time with an awesome version of the iconic character.
You will never see daylight at this rate, but never mind that. What are you doing in Bolivia?
Ascending. Alistair, meet Tuanak. She's a lovely pre-Incan civilization, currently in ruins.
Delighted.
Tomb Raider Legend starts everything from scratch as a reboot, but also respects the core fundamentals in the process. While it's a different pacing than the previous Tomb Raider titles prior, it blends the expected exploration and action that we've come to expect from Ms. Croft. Exploring exotic locales with grand scope, finding artifacts around the environments, traversing dangerous terrain and traps, and facing off against enemies, while also utilizing Lara's new tools and gadgets. The first thing the team at Crystal Dynamics focused on was making sure the controls were incredibly smooth, as the previous core design Tomb Raider titles were very much tank-like, while the PS2 Angel of Darkness made handling Lara like an 18-wheeler with flat tires. Yes, the controls were that bad in that game. In Tomb Raider Legend, Crystal Dynamics absolutely nailed the controls. Lara handles like a dream with fluid movement and excellent traversal mechanics, whether it be jumping, shimmying, climbing, swimming, etc. Lara Croft is a nimble character, and this is finally the first game in the series where we actually feel that within the controls. When climbing or shimmying along ledges, you can keep pressing the Y button to speed up the traversal, and jumping from ledge to ledge or pole to pole will occasionally prompt pressing the Y button if you jump too early, as Lara will lose balance grabbing on if that's the case. Her traversal controls are simple to grasp while being engaging enough to ensure you time everything properly. When not platforming your way through environments, Lara will be facing off against mercenaries and animals that wait to pounce her at any opportunity. Combat is handled very well, in which you hold the L trigger to ready your weapon and lock on, and press the R trigger to fire. You have full movement when locking on, and can also dodge with the B button and jump around with the A button. If you press the B button when locked on and near an enemy, you can slide into them, thus flipping them into the air and leaving them vulnerable for more hits. Additionally, you could jump onto enemies, flip off of them, and initiate slow-mo to fire away at your enemies. This is so rewarding and feels badass every single time. Aside from Lara's iconic dual pistols, she can also pick up assault rifles, shotguns, grenade launchers, submachine guns, as well as throw grenades. The dual pistols are always available and have unlimited ammo, while you can carry one of the extra weapons that you can switch between with the press of a single button. When locking on, you can also press the Z button to throw grenades. It all allows for a fluid combat system that just works really well. Additionally, there are environmental hazards highlighted with the Y button that you can fire at to creatively utilize the environment to take out your foes. While Tomb Raider Legend nails the blend of exploration and platforming, it also incorporates segments where you'll drive a motorcycle, a Ducati to be more exact. You'll fire away at enemies chasing you while carefully not crashing the bike and going off of jumps. These segments serve as a nice break in between some of the levels, and while they may get a little repetitive, they're still a fun distraction. Additionally, the game does have QuickTime events, and some of these are actually really cool, while failing these can lead to somewhat comical deaths. Lara does have some new gadgets this time around. First off, she now has a magnetic grapple hook that is utilized in many ways. Aside from using it to swing across hard-to-reach platforms, she can now use it to grab metallic objects and pull them down. Lara can also use it to bring platforms closer together at times. It really is a fantastic addition to the gameplay. She also has the rad binoculars, which lets her analyze the environment for clues. Lara can also use her trusty flashlight when navigating dark corridors, which definitely comes in handy. Throughout levels, there will also be artifacts that you can find. These range from bronze, silver, and gold, with each tier also being more difficult to find. Bronze artifacts are usually more readily visible, while silver ones require a bit more exploration, while the gold one requires solving a much bigger puzzle throughout the level to get to it. I found this to be quite addictive, and it kept me coming back for more, trying to find every single one. Additionally, there are also time trials to tackle in every level once you've completed them. These will test your skills in trying to complete the levels under a fairly strict time limit. Completing the time trials and collecting artifacts will allow you to unlock more outfits for Lara, as well as pistol upgrades and cheat codes to use. There are also character profiles and images to unlock and view. Also, being able to revisit any level upon completion is awesome. There are also boss battles that are quite entertaining and usually require utilizing the environment at times. When all that isn't enough, you can explore Lara's infamous Croft Manor. Unlike its predecessors though, Croft Manor serves as actually a large level in which you must find all the artifacts hidden there, and solve numerous puzzles. Croft Manor is a character in itself to explore and grabs your attention immediately. This is also due to the fantastic song that accompanies your time there. No joke, I would listen to the song in this area for hours. You can access Croft Manor right from the beginning of the game, but the entire area to complete will take quite some time, and it allows you to save your progress and return at a later time. Lara can even interact with her crew there, which continues to lend to the liveliness of the game's world. Visually, Tomb Raider Legend is a superb looking title that released at a time when it was developed cross-gen. Lara Croft's model not only looks excellent, but animates beautifully. Even all the gear she has is shown on her and is visible no matter which outfit she's wearing. Whether she's flipping in the air, shimmying along the ledge, or firing away at enemies, she just animates so well. I also love when you keep pressing the dodge button and she'll do this really cool front flip animation, or even pressing the jump button constantly to show a variation of this jump mechanic. It's just all very well detailed. Cutscenes are also handled very well, with good use of camera work for the time. The environments look excellent as well, with each level brimming with life, and they all have a grand sense of scale. Whether the lush waterfalls of Ghana, the urban feel of Tokyo, to the frigid mountains of Nepal, every level is such a joy to explore. I will say, one of the gripes I do have is with the visual performance. The frame rate targets 30 frames per second, but there are dips here and there depending on the action happening on screen. It luckily doesn't affect the gameplay enough to hurt the experience, but it is definitely noticeable. This is definitely an example of a game pushing the 6th gen consoles a little bit more than they knew they could while releasing simultaneously on the Xbox 360. It is worth noting that while the GameCube version does have more frame rate drops than the PS2 version, it also has a sharper resolution and higher res texture work, giving it a little bit of a slight edge. Also, I want to point out the detail in the main menu. Depending on the level you're up to, the live backdrop of the menu will be of the level that you're actually on, as well as Lara dressed in the outfit for that location. Lara will also animate in the main menu, which further adds to the game's immersion. Even the game's loading screens change based on the section of the level you're on, and have to be some of the coolest loading screens I've ever seen in a game to date. Little details like this truly raise the bar. Overall, this game is very visually pleasing. In terms of audio, Keely Hawes voices Lara Croft, and honestly provides the best voiceover for the character still to this day. She delivers her lines with such confidence in the character that always seems natural. The rest of the voice cast do a fantastic job as well, all culminating in getting further engrossed in the overall story. Sound effects and ambience all blend perfectly and continue adding to the overall experience. However, the real showstopper is the soundtrack. Composed by Troll's Bron Folman, who was known later for the superb Transformers Fall of Cybertron soundtrack, the score here is simply outstanding. From the Sublime theme song at the main menu that perfectly sets the tone of the journey ahead, you know you're in for an amazing soundtrack. Furthermore, this installment has music constantly playing throughout entire levels and numerous different tracks that play depending on the area you're in. When in combat, there's a low-key track playing, and when bullets start flying, it ramps up to be more intense. Trust me on this. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic from start to finish, with even the final boss theme being one of the most awesome tracks in the game as well that really nails reaching the finale. Crank up that audio system, folks. This is one hell of an audio experience. After a decline in the Tomb Raider franchise, and core design no longer at the helm of their IP, Crystal Dynamics clearly looked at the property and fired on all cylinders to bring this franchise back in a strong way. Between the excellent visuals, fluid animations, tight controls, engaging story, and addictive gameplay, Tomb Raider Legend is not only an excellent return for Ms. Croft, but honestly, one of the best experiences for the 6th generation of consoles. Despite some minor issues here and there, the overall experience is superb to say the least. This is a game I've played over and over countless times since 2006, whether on the PS2 or the PS3 with the Tomb Raider trilogy, and now more recently, playing it on the GameCube. This is one of the few games I never get sick of replaying, and that is a true testament to the overall package here. To this day, Tomb Raider Legend is still the best Tomb Raider game in my opinion, and an absolute must-play.